Hi everyone, I'm Ashley McManus, Senior Director of Global Marketing at SmartEye. Welcome to the Human-Centric AI Podcast, where each episode we feature thought leaders doing cutting-edge work in the AI space. A little about us, SmartEye is the global leader in human insight AI, technology that understands, supports, and predicts human behavior in complex environments, bridging the gap between humans and machines for a safe and sustainable future. Today, our technology is embedded in next-generation vehicles, leading the way towards human-centric mobility through driver monitoring systems and interior sensing solutions. Our research instruments offer unparalleled insights into automotive, aviation, assistive technology, behavioral science, and many more fields. So today's episode features the founder and CEO at iMotions and member of the executive management team at the SmartEye Group, Peter Hatzbeck. Peter is an entrepreneur who is driven by using technology to make the world a better place. His company, iMotions, is a fully integrated hardware-agnostic software platform that allows researchers to use the power of any neuroscience technology, as well as traditional surveys and focus groups, to gain unparalleled insight into what people actually think and feel. Their customers use iMotions for everything from diagnosis of neurological diseases such as Parkinson's, schizophrenia, autism, and Alzheimer's, to personnel training, UX testing, advertising, and military human research. Peter and I talked about his backstory leading up to the genesis of iMotions, his prior synergies with Affectiva facial expression analysis, and eye-tracking technology in the SmartEye Group. Let's listen in to learn more. Okay. Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. With me, I have Peter Hatzbeck. Thank you for making the time to speak with me.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here in Boston.
Absolutely. So to start, tell us about your background. I believe you had a personal story that inspired you to start the company. So I was wondering if you could share that and ultimately what motivated you to start iMotion.
Sure. Yeah. So it's been a long journey, almost 17 years. So I originally started to look at eye tracking only, actually, where we were looking at pupil dilations and try to see if we could, for example, brake a car faster than you could react, from your brain down to your foot. And we started doing that the first 7-8 years, and we were basically too early in the market. And then what happened during that time was that unfortunately my mother got sick, and we didn't know what was wrong with her. She began to fall and lose her balance and so on. So basically we could see that a lot of stuff was happening inside her, but she couldn't articulate what was wrong. And unfortunately, we found out it was a disease called MSA, like a Parkinson plus disease. Okay. And unfortunately, she passed away quite quickly. It might sound a bit morbid, but it was not until she actually passed away that we knew what it was. Yeah. So there was no way to treat this or diagnose it. And then we could see, for example, there was some changes in the pupil behavior. And so when you work with eye tracking, obviously you're observing people's face movements and so on. I'm sure in Affectiva, you guys look at a lot of facial expressions. I also do that today as well. But back then it was primarily eye tracking. And you have so many exciting signals that come from the eye. Blinks, pupil dilations, gaze, and you have tons of metrics and data, but we could really see that it cannot stand alone. In order to understand human behavior, we need to have not only eye tracking, but also what's happening in the face, what's happening inside the body, which is some of the more important metrics, heart rate, galvanic skin response, something you could use to measure arousal, like how much do you sweat in your fingers. If you go into a big stage, then you sweat in your fingers and so on. So basically, I was like, hey, we have to do something about this disease because it hits the whole family very hard. When you have 4 or 5 years of disease, you are the young kids have to step in. It's very rough also for the partner, right? Because you take care of somebody who can't do anything anymore. So just knowing what it is, that would have been immensely, helpful for all of us to understand it, to cope with it, to somehow understand what's happening. And that was not possible. So that's, together with Ole, that has been with us for 17 years. We're like, how can we then do more than eye tracking? And then there was no platforms. There was no company who could actually let us build a software that could synchronize all these different signals. And then we start with one EEG company and say, hey, let's try to get this eye tracker to talk to this EEG headset, and so on and so on. And then we have just trial and error us through. And today we have built the leading platform for biometric research and human behavior research that is then used in a lot of other variety of fields and so on.
Yeah.
And we can talk more about that. But still the main driver and the reason we're here is also, at least that I'm still here, is that I think these technologies will be used to diagnose neurological diseases, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, autism, post-traumatic stress in soldiers and so on. So we can diagnose it early and help these people. And that's also the first step. If you cannot diagnose it early, you're not going to be able to treat them. You're not going to be able to also hopefully cure them one day. So that's kind of the first step. So it's a very long-term plan. It's as I said, 17 years now, and there might be 10, 20 years left in here, so let's see.
Let's see how far we can get.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you probably touched on my next question, but anything you want to add to, what your company's mission is?
Yeah, so I think, in general, I think a lot of companies say we want to change the world. I do think that that's actually what we are doing in iMotions, and also now as part of the SmartEye group. That's maybe more precisely saving human lives through the osmosis side. So the iMotions mission and vision fits well into that. We just, want to do it in the healthcare space and use this platform to diagnose diseases and so on. And of course also be part of all future research in other sectors. But I think that's part of the prime mission and why a lot of people are still staying here after many years. And I think it's exciting to go to work every day to help people.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you talk a little bit about your target customer, I guess? Who are the types of organizations that you work with and why?
Yeah. So we have kind of a 50-50 split between academic researchers and commercial companies. So, and that's one of the things that's a bit, I would say, complex about iMotions, if you want to pitch it in 2 seconds, right? It's like we have so many different application areas. And there's almost nothing we say no to today when it's about research, like trying to measure human behavior. But, the short story is the university side, business schools, testing material for large corporations. There's psychology, obviously, to test, on one-on-one interviews, like all kinds of stimulus presentation. So psychiatry, education, basically all university departments can use this kind of technology where we have some kind of human-human interaction or human-machine interaction, right? So that's the academic side, and there's a lot of exciting use cases we can talk about, but that's the academic side. The commercial side, primarily R&D, early stage research and development. So all the large corporations, they basically have an innovation lab or research and development lab where they test their products. So it could be like a Procter & Gamble, if they have a new product, how should it smell? So we test on aroma, for example, taste, the whole packaging, how should the packaging sound? For example, you also have a car handle. It should sound, the old, what is it called? The G400 or G63 Mercedes. It has a special sound when you open it. It's still now digitalized, but it still sounds like this old clunky handle, right? So they test this kind of thing, right? So of course the automotive industry is huge for us as well. But we come in a lot earlier than where SmartEye implemented into the production cars. We come in when they're playing around in the early stage design. It takes maybe around 7 years, I think, to design a car. So we are like those early prototype stages. We also work with, of course, large media companies. Some of the leading ones that has large testing sites where they, for example, test TV trailers or new movies, right, or pilots. So as you know, there's a lot of crap, if we can use that word. I'm Danish, so I excuse myself. But that we spend our time to watch. But let's imagine that you could actually measure if it has a positive impact of people, and so you can better predict if it's worth investing in, right? So that it becomes prime content that we actually like and is interested in. So that's also a quite big area. And then shoppers' insights, walking in the shopping mall where we have eye tracking glasses, for example, where we can then see what people look at, how they find the product and stuff like that. And I think, that's the main kind of clients. But basically all kinds of corporations. One area that might be interesting to mention as well as UX, user experience. So we have all the large companies, I cannot mention them, but they use it to test either apps, the ones we use every day, to see if people are engaged with it, what can they do to improve the content and stuff like that. So the whole user experience and UI, both on websites. So if you are a web-based company that sell your products out of a website, obviously very important that you can see the, where's the buying button? Do people fall off here? Do we have too long waiting time? All this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we also test, people are clicking, where they're looking, and are they emotionally engaged or disengaged with the website or the phone or the tablet. So I think that's the short story.
The short version.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. So we love user stories. So I was wondering if you could take us through some of your most inspiring customer examples. Maybe there's a particular research group that does amazing work with some tech emotions provided, or what's the working relationship that you're most proud of?
Yeah, I mean, I think we. As I said, that's one of the reasons it's still fun to get up and go to work, because there's always new, exciting stuff. We are right at the leading edge of everything. But I think a few things that's been motivating recently is, for example, I was just speaking at the social marketing conference, and I came to the conference, and I have to admit that I hadn't had a lot of time to look too deep into it, but it was in collaboration with University of South Florida.
Okay.
And basically they do marketing for a social purpose, right? Or the public, like to educate the public. And it was so inspiring. There was 200 people, and it was all like people wanted to change the world.
Yeah.
So I think that side of it, the social marketing, so it's like anti-smoking campaigns.
Yeah.
That was an example of somebody who did research in Florida. It's a big problem because the rain comes very fast. So if you fertilize your lawn right before there's going to come rain, for example, then it all goes into Tampa Bay. So it's just a local example of how we can use this to educate the population. And it's nice to take it from an academic approach, because let's face it, they has a bit more time and less pressure to get the stuff done that a commercial company will have. That's always on a tight schedule. So they get some really good and impactful research done that helps humanity, right? So it could also be as I said, anti-smoking, anti-alcohol, like that's COVID testing, right? How do we inform people about COVID? And that was a very interesting way we actually built our online platform that we can potentially talk more about. But because when COVID hit, nobody could get into the labs.
Yeah.
So it was a tough time for IMO since the first half year there. Then we co-innovated together with the University of South Florida this online platform, where they could then do facial expression with Affectiva in combination with our own eye tracking web-based camera. And of course, that's never going to be as good as a like high-end expensive eye tracker. That's the reason why that costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
But you can still get, if you have a larger sample size, pretty good indication. And that's a place where we, of course, work quite closely with Affectiva and this online platform. So that was kind of the social marketing USF collaboration.
Yeah.
They also have an interesting sales lab. I love sales myself.
Yeah.
I see sales as a science. It is something where you have a lot of theory behind it. I never knew that, but it was funny. I took the advanced management program at MIT, and then I had the negotiation course, right, which is it's really interesting how much theory that's behind that. And that's a place where we actually also do some inspiring research, I think, together with Jerry Kern, who at MIT, a very famous negotiation professor, where he tried to use the technology of facial expressions in negotiation theory. Not in theory, sorry, like when you have the cases and so on, right? You can see how people reacting, and all this kind of stuff. So I think we have a huge future of this kind of thing, where we can also do self-learning, right? And teach ourselves to be better at a skill. I think that's pretty interesting. And then we work with one of the issues is that I can often not talk too much about who the clients are, but there is something that's popular that's called the JAKE project that people can check out if they want. So that's a larger project together with Johnson & Johnson, where they have published a lot of papers that you can find on our website. And they are working. They're working on the largest study ever done on kids with autism. So again, that falls back into the mission and vision of iMotions. That has taken a long time, but if people want to check that out, then they can read. I can't say everything, but that is something people can search on if they want to see something inspiring. And so they use all bells and whistles, so to say, on sensors, but with high-end AG and all the different other technologies in order to gain or collect as much data as possible, and then hopefully be able to find out where people are on the autism spectrum, for example. So so that's really exciting, I think. So I think that's 3 cases. There's tons of them, but we can all come back to later.
Absolutely. So that's great, and we'll link that in the show notes so people can click around to read more. So another thing I wanted to ask you about, I believe recently there was some sort of training academy for your customers. I think it actually wrapped last week in Boston. So I was wondering if you could explain what that was, what were you looking to do, and of course, how did it go?
Yeah, exactly. It's actually going on right now.
Oh, it's still going.
Lunch. Yeah, okay, cool. I just had lunch with them. It was really cool. Nice. So it is. This is new technology and so on, and we often have some inspired researcher that comes, I want to do this, but it can be hard for them to get all the surrounding people around them to understand, how this can revolutionize research instead of just doing a survey in Qualtrics or another survey program, that you can actually gather all these interesting data on facial expressions, eye tracking, and so on. So what we did was that we, so instead of that, we all the time travel out to a lab, and then we sell workshops, right? So we come out with our PhD level staff and train and all that. We still do that, but it's difficult to scale. And then also what we found was that researchers move on to another university maybe every 3-5 years. So they buy a system, do some exciting stuff, and then they get another assistant professor job, and then so that's how that world is built, right? That's how you measure how many publications you do, and where can you get more publications through. So that was also a problem, because then our champion left, and then it was hard to kind of get new people up and running in the lab. And then we of course sold most likely a new lab to the person that moved on. But how do we get all these other ones to continue to change the world by using this? So then we started the iMotions Academy, and of course the team has done a huge work on this. I don't have any
can't take any credit.
No, I can't. And, it is really an amazing team of people we have in iMotions, and of course in the whole group. But it is, it has been innovated from the inside to solve. I mean, we're always very client driven, so we solve these problems for the clients. But so anyway, so then we started up the academy and tried out to see, hey, what if we invite people to our offices? And then we have a combination of commercial researchers and academic researchers. And they all meet in this cohort of people, like that's between 10 and 20 people. And then they are there for a week, and they have a few days with theoretical stuff, like where they learn everything about like what is EEG, what is eye tracking, face expressions, and I think we're pretty good at, like, even though people know something about one of the sensors or several, there's still a lot to learn and like recap. So even though you're a beginner, you can get tons of it, but you can also get a lot out of it, even though you have a bit of experience. So there's 2 days of theory, and now they just started, it's Wednesday today, so they started a project. So they're going to do a real research project where our team is helping them, and they are basically part of the daily life here at iMotions. So they come in and out of the office, and we get very close to the clients that way. And I think we will have actually 10 or something like that next year.
Cool.
So it's also starting to scale up a little bit. Obviously, it's not fully scalable. We would like to also have some online options if people cannot travel. But we have, I think, 4 in Copenhagen next year, 3 or 4 here in Boston. We have a few in Singapore, where we also have an office. And then we begin to start these more remote things, where we, for example, just had one in Sydney, because we have a lot of clients in Australia, but then we travel out and do it in connection with a client, which is also cool. So if there's any clients hearing this that would like to host an iMotions Academy, then it's nice, because they get to show off their lab and their experience, and at the same time we collect people that are from that geographical region. So that's pretty exciting. iMotions Academy, it's really cool.
So it's definitely going to be an ongoing kind of annual, multiple cities. And
and it's nice, because people, when they get a new researcher, you hire for a lot of money a new researcher, and you want them to use the equipment, right? Because you paid whatever amount of a lot of dollars for it, right? So here you can really quickly get people to hit the ground running, if they start September 1st, they go for the iMotions Academy, boom.
Yeah.
What's the next? And then they can actually utilize and start research. So it takes half a year, a year or whatever for a lot of research before they even get started. So again, it's time to publication.
Yeah.
And it's really that time is what we try to get as short as possible,
right,
because that's the success they are kind of measured on.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. So, and I think you did touch on this a little bit, but I know there's some history between Affectiva and iMotions.
Yeah, that's true.
Now that we're all part of the Smart Eye Group, I was hoping you could share, what that working relationship, especially with, facial expression analysis, emotion AI, had looked like kind of leading up to today.
Yeah. No, it's been a very interesting journey, because I think we were kind of the first company that tried to bring this into a multimodal model. It means that it's facial expression combined with something else.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can say, of course, there was a few companies out there that has built some software for facial expressions, but it was, again, they had the same problem as the eye tracking companies, because you need more modalities to understand human behavior.
Yeah.
We saw that a bit early, right? But now people begin to see it 10 years later. So we started working with some of the, of course, everybody knows Paul Ekman and like the manual facial coding, which is kind of what we also have to compete against, so to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we put that into a machine, or Affectiva puts that into machine learning and so on through the web camera, just for everybody to know where that is.
Yeah.
So, and then some of the pioneers that tried to do the first software approach that actually was really good was Emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Some research out of UCSD.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first engine we integrated, I think, was it like 2013, 14?
Wow.
And we actually brought them into the academic market. So they were working on more scalable applications, but they were also really early. Okay. But it actually worked really well, that engine, and that actually got sold to Apple. So and then we were like, oh no, what should we do? And then and then we heard about Affectiva, and we had reached out a little bit, because we knew that could, of course, happen. That would be a risk for us, since we bring technologies together. We have more than 30 different partners that we integrate into the platform.
Cool.
So we already had started the dialogue with Rana and Tim and the rest of the Affectiva team. That was really very engaged in this whole field. But that was just challenge: how do we commercialize it? They had the same problem as Emotion had, because it was hard to, at that point, find the mass application market. So I think all these segments have looked for that, both eye tracking, face expression, and so on. But we were very impressed with the technology, and say, hey, don't you guys want to kind of bring us into the academic field? Because that's how we get validation for a technology like this, right? So that's what iMotions has provided. We have brought Affectiva into to the segment of academic researchers, where they can set up a study and then use the facial expression engines, right? So that means a lot of people have published on it. It's been validated. Tons of schools use it now. A lot of the bigger ones like MIT has been talked about, and awesome. Many hundreds of schools. So that was kind of how it started. So we represented Affectiva as you can say the channel to the market, so they could focus on the more scalable applications, as we know.
Yeah.
Now the successful one became the automotive, and then there was the whole thing of why the smart eye tracking thing happened. Affectiva attacking, so to say, the interior sensing of the car, where facial expression and all that is, and gesture measurement is super important.
Yeah.
Whereas Smart Eye had the DMS system, the driving monitoring system, that's based purely on eye tracking. So that whole fit was amazing. And then the other fit that of course we were in the academic field, and we were both selling Smart Eye trackers and Affectiva's software, right? So that we still do, but we still stay independent in the way that we want to make sure the researchers get what they need for the research. So of course we want our own group to up the game, right? We're going to make sure that we compete on all the different fields academically, but we also of course still support a lot of other partners out there within a lot of different senses. But that was how we worked together. And I knew Rana for many years. We always looked up to each other, I think, and I was impressed with what she has built here, Affectiva, and the whole concept. So that was really great. So in that respect, we already knew each other very well, and I was also in Boston at the time, right? So it was a great relationship, and it's really important if you want to build close partnerships that you are pretty close to each other. That makes things a lot easier.
Yeah.
And then we are, of course, headquartered in Copenhagen, so we're also close to Gothenburg. It's
and all covered.
2-3 hours away, right? So so in that respect, it's
Yeah, so let's talk about Smart Eye. So they, of course, acquired Emotions back in October.
Yes.
So now that we're approaching that first year anniversary, can you share any reflections that you have on that process, or any challenges, or any opportunities that you're excited about the last few months?
No, I think in general, I see it as pure synergies, more or less. I mean, obviously, it's tricky to put 3 companies together, because that's what this more or less is. The way I see it, I describe more as a merger of 3 leading technologies, right? Like iMotion sit in the academic segment. We have a sales channel, so to say, to that. And then we have now the facial expression technology, both for automotive, but also for the other markets. And then, of course, leading knowledge in eye tracking and the vertical for automotive, that both Affectiva and iMotions, we had not found like a very scalable vertical. And then also that we are on the stock exchange. So we all, kind of needed to go that way, one way or the other. So I think now being the group together, I see more or less only synergies. And that's, of course, because we have a lot of the same clients and so on. But also we can really build some, I think that all of these technologies, obviously, we believe in multimodal. And I think the next thing that's going to happen for the automotive industry, that's not only going to be DMS that led to interior sensing, it's going to be interior sensing leading to multimodal interior and DMS. So I think that's where we'll be on the forefront, right? So strategically and visionary, now we are a company of 350 people on the stock exchange. Of course, we have seen better days after this uncertain war in Ukraine and everything that happens, unfortunately. But that's how it is in the tech space. So so a lot of synergies, and then like one thing that's always a challenge with something like this is the cultures, right?
Yeah.
And now I've lived in the US and Denmark, and it's Danish, but more American than Danish, I would say. So I mean, I of course understand both sides, but of course there's a big difference from Swedish consensus management style to American quick decision making. So there will always be some of these smaller things that we need to work on, but I feel we are getting through those. And I think what was the important part is that both Rana, Martin, and I hopefully we are kind of driven by our hearts for good and for bad. It's not always good to be that in business. But I like it in this kind of situation where we know that it comes from a place that you can trust.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where this kind of stuff starts. So when there are some few frustrations or whatever, then we will try to handle it best possible. But also the vision is very aligned. I think Affectiva was always driven to change the world with their technology. Smart Eye was, like, to be even more precise, they wanted to save lives, but the technologies. iMotions also, I feel, is changing the world with the research we do to lead mankind ahead. So I think those things are where the biggest issues or problems would come when you merge 3 almost equal-sized companies together that is spread all over the world. So I think those are the important things that we should focus on, where there's a little bit of small issues here and there. And then, of course, then we will move ahead, right? But I feel very positive about it. I think we're 7 months in now. I think Affectiva is one year, 1 month.
1 year, I think, this month.
Yeah,
which is
1 year this month. That's true. Yeah. So I think, I mean, we feel it's more or less the same vision, same strategy that we did before, but now we just have a lot of options. We also have, for the talent we have in the company, that's also more options, right?
Yeah.
So like, having been in the game for a long time, all 3 companies have actually built companies that's been around for many years. And it can sometimes be tough to keep the talent when you get them in young, they get built up and it's like, hey, should I be in this company for this long? Now I have kids. I need to try something else. We all probably have some of those thoughts. But I think what's really exciting here is that, we can also now move people into, let's say you're a software engineer, you can move from some application-driven stuff like iMotions into maybe more AI stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we can keep motivating also some of the software engineers, but also salespeople and so on, that can try some different stuff within the group. And I see that as very positive.
Definitely. Great. If you had one takeaway for the audience listening today, what would you like to tell them?
Well, I think you should come and join our group because I think it's a lot of amazing people. And I think we work on some really exciting stuff. And yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of takeaways in this.
Yeah.
I don't have something specific to add on than that.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, that's all I have for you. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And once again, thanks so much for taking the time for the fascinating conversation today.
Thank you very much.
We covered a lot of different topics in our conversation today, and we found that there was so much more we could talk about. The future of research does seem to be multimodal, which on the marketing side, we are also seeing across industries from automotive and beyond. We are also at a period of a really exciting growth as we bring these technologies together for a holistic package for all of our customers. So this was the first conversation, I'm sure, of more to come. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the Human Centric AI podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts for new episodes. We're also on social media, so please reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to share any feedback you have on the show and weigh in on the discussion using hashtag Human Centric AI Podcast. Don't forget to rate us and comment with your feedback to help make the podcast more discoverable for others. Until next time, thanks for listening.